Hello, Internet. Come on in and join the NerdChat. I am joined with an old favorite.
Hey!
Rick's back. So we just wanted to talk about the Snyder Cut a little bit since, there's an algorithm for that.
Algorithm for that.
And I also didn't have the ability to make a video this week, so this was a good filler.
You've been a busy boy, though. That's okay.
Yeah, also my computer wasn't working at work, so
that's fair.
That's where I write my scripts. So I had some issues. But anyway, thankfully Snyder Cut came out, and it's what everyone's talking about, and we watched it over the course of 2 nights.
I watched it twice in one day.
You watched it 1 and 3/4 in one day.
Fair. That's fair.
Because Rick asked me at 8 o'clock at night, you want to watch the Snyder Cut? I'm like, well, it's a 4-hour film, and I go to bed at 11.
After we stood in the kitchen and talked for an hour.
Yeah, so that's true. We would have had the opportunity if we had started right away. But, oh well, it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, we watched it, and we just want to talk a little bit about it, and then bring up some things we liked, some things we didn't like, and, just our general thoughts. So, I know that you are most eager to talk about it, so why don't you tell me just a little bit of what you thought overall.
So from my standpoint, I was someone that I really liked Man of Steel.
Uh-huh.
And I know a lot of people didn't, or were
I'm one
kind
of them.
Indifferent on it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a solid movie. I didn't think it was a great Superman story, but I thought it was a good, alternate universe Superman film.
I see that.
And that's what I really liked about it. Because, when it comes to comics, I tend to prefer alternate timelines, like Injustice or Days of Future Past, things like that. I like alternate timelines and whatnot. So I really liked it. But Batman vs. Superman, to me, it left a really sour taste in my mouth. And I know, you didn't particularly like that one, but I know a bunch of other people that really did like that one.
Yeah.
And the general consensus is it wasn't a great movie. I mean, I'd watch it if it was on TV, but I don't go out of my way to watch Batman vs. Superman. I might watch 1 or 2 scenes of it that I'm like, that was a really good scene. But the rest of it's eh.
Yeah.
And Justice League came out, and I was pretty indifferent on it, but I leaned more towards just, not really enjoying it all that much.
Right.
It was fun, but it was really clear that when the movie shifted directors, that WB tried to push it more towards being Avengers, and it never should have been.
No.
DC Comics just as a whole tend to be darker, and so I don't mind if the films are. It's okay for them to be different, and it's okay for people to like both. Mm-hmm. So, but overall, it was too mixed. It didn't have proper storytelling. It didn't have character building. It didn't have just any real progression to it, and it was really jumbled. So then I was like, okay, well, I don't hate it because there's some funny scenes in it. Flash running and Superman turning to look at him. That scene's always funny. But just overall, it's kind of indifferent on it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But this came out, and I was like, you know what? I did enjoy Man of Steel, so I wouldn't mind seeing what Snyder had initially intended. And I was actually concerned that I wasn't going to like it, because I'm not a fan of The Watchmen. Believe it or not. I know a lot of people really like The Watchmen,
yeah, but
I personally just am not a fan of it. As a comic book, either. But that's just kind of me. So, the Snyder Cut came out, and I was like, you know what? Let's watch it. Let's see what happens. Right. And I ended up really liking it. Honestly, it might be one of the comic book movies I tend to like the most. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to watch it all the time, because it is an effort to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's half a day. It's half a work day.
It's like Lord of the Rings.
You clock in, and by the time you're watching the movie, you go to lunch.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so overall, I liked it. What did you think?
I mean, my journey with the DC cinematic universe, I refuse to call it the EU. I didn't like Man of Steel. I didn't hate it, but I really didn't enjoy it.
And that's fair.
And then Batman v Superman came out, and you were with me. I wanted to be anywhere else.
Yeah, you were not happy in that theater.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it. really at all. I mean, I liked Ben. I liked Batfleck. I think that he did really well.
And and I can always agree with that. Mm-hmm. Any other gripe I have with any of those films, I will always stand with Batfleck being honestly my favorite Batman.
Yeah, I mean, what I have been able to say consistently is that I think the actors have been doing a really good job portraying the characters they were told to portray. I
can agree with that. And I really do like most of the cast.
Yeah, and
even
it's not
the
like
side cast.
It's not like I don't. It's not like I don't like any of the cast, and I'll get into later like how there's like some characterization differences that I don't agree with, but that they're still playing the character right. They're playing the character they're told to play. So that I respect in its own right. But yeah, Batman v Superman, like I really was disinterested in it. I was bored and confused. So, I mean, I haven't seen, like, I know there's, like, a director's cut that's like,
there
longer,
is,
right?
And there is, I can't remember what it's called, but there is a director's cut that is a bit longer. I think it's only, like, 10 or 15 minutes longer.
Okay.
But it does add a few scenes that tie it into Justice League better.
Uh-huh.
So watching that director's cut and then Snyder's cut will probably make a lot more sense, because, like, they show, or they tease Steppenwolf at the end, and there's a little bit more information on how the stuff works and how it all gets together.
All right, yeah, and then by the time we watched Justice League, like my opinion on the original, theatrical release of Justice League was like, I don't feel like I wasted my time. Like, I'm not upset that I spent money to watch it, but I also knew I would probably never spend money again to watch it.
Yeah, it's not one that we were like, all right, well, let's go watch it again. Like, when Endgame came out, we saw that, 2-3 times in theaters?
Yeah. Yeah, Endgame we saw twice.
There's some movies where you just pay to see them multiple times.
Yeah, and I mean, there's plenty of movies that have been like that. I mean, like Iron Man, I saw 5 times. Sherlock Holmes, I saw 5 times. That might just because I really like Robert Downey Jr. I don't know where that came from.
There's some movies, like...
But... And, like, Star Wars films, I've almost always seen multiple times.
Yeah, I think I've seen everyone that's been in theaters since I've been old enough to go to theaters. I've seen at least twice.
Yeah, I mean, Episode 7, I watched 7 times in theaters.
I saw Episode 3 4 times in theaters. Nice. That was my favorite.
So, I mean, when I really, really like a movie, I'll go see it a whole bunch of times. But Justice League, it was like I watched it once, I was like, all right. I know what happened.
Yeah.
And then I was done. And, like, there's been, like, Aquaman and the Wonder Woman films I have enjoyed. I don't think that they're masterpieces, but I was like, oh, those were entertaining. Like, I enjoyed my time, and if they were on TV, I definitely will watch them. But, and if, like, someone asked to, like, sit down and watch it, like, I've never seen it, like, yeah, I'll watch it with them.
Yeah.
But, like, then on the other side, like, I hate Suicide Squad.
No, that movie sucks.
I hate Suicide Squad.
I watched it, and I'll say the same thing. I really like Ben Affleck as Batman. I liked Will Smith's Deadshot. People can they can sue me.
I mean,
because I liked it.
The
rest of that movie is awful.
Yeah, I mean, there are certainly parts of it I liked. Like, if someone gave me, a 2-hour Deadshot film of Will Smith, I would watch that.
It'd probably be great.
I think that would be really interesting. But, like, I mean, I've explained this somewhere over the internet, whether wherever you've watched me from, and I've talked to you about it specifically, Rick, that I'm just not a fan of anti-heroes to begin with. Like, yeah, and I give Jason Todd a lot of rope. I think and that's only because he's a Robin.
Because he's my boy.
If he wasn't a Robin, I wouldn't give half a shit about him. So
I love that that's where we differ on comic characters, because I love anti-heroes.
And I hate anti-heroes. I'm not interested in them.
But they make the best team-ups.
They do make the best team-ups, and that's what makes them very interesting. But I cannot read Red Hood. Like, I just can't. So, that's where my thing is on Suicide Squad. I still haven't seen the second one, and
Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
I still haven't either. Actually.
Yeah, I guess that wasn't.
I still haven't watched that one either.
But yeah, I still haven't seen that. So it's I'm sure someone will force me to watch it.
It's for our boy.
And I mean, I don't see every superhero movie like I used to. Like, I still haven't seen Venom. So, but, we sat down and watched the Snyder Cut, and it was certainly an improvement from what we watched.
I honestly feel like it is a vast improvement.
It was definitely an improvement. And one of the things I said to you after we were done was, when I watched the first Justice League, I was like, why don't they let this universe just die? Mm-hmm. And then when we watched Snyder Cut, by the time we were done, I was like, well, now I'm actually invested in these characters.
Now I want to see what happens.
And I would have liked to see this universe bloom, and maybe there's a chance for
I'm crossing fingers. Same. I would like to see at least one more movie.
So they definitely... I don't think it's as good as the memes have been, where people are like, it was fucking biblical, mate. I'm like...
biblical, mate.
I'm like, I mean, it was a 4-hour fucking film. Like, they had to hit a stride somewhere. They could have cut an hour out if they didn't do so many slow motion shots, but... Certainly. So we wanted to say 3 things we didn't like and 3 things we did like. So let's go out on a high note. So let's talk about 3 things we didn't like.
All right. Do you want to start or you want me to start?
I'll start. So 3 things I didn't like. Jesus, was it dull, like, coloring. Like, I remember throughout, like, the entire film squinting at Wonder Woman's costume to see whether or not there was actually red and blue in it, or if it was just deep shades of gray.
I can see that. It was not as muted as Man of Steel, because that movie was like sepia tone the entire time.
Like, I can see why going with the black Superman costume was an easy choice, because they didn't have to add any color to the film. No. I'm sure that the Superman suit threatened that. Otherwise, the brightest thing in the movie was Cyborg's eye, and that was it. That was the only color in the whole movie.
I can kind of agree with that, because I feel like it wasn't too dark like Man of Steel, but it also wasn't too bright.
Yeah.
Like, the theatrical cut of Justice League was, like, eye-burningly bright, and I did not like that at all.
Mm-hmm. I think that we could have found a middle ground somewhere.
I agree.
But we didn't.
I agree.
Do you have anything?
My number one dislike is actually... It ties into one of my likes. So I'll just do the first like or whatever.
Sure.
But I did not like that Martian Manhunter only appeared twice.
So that is also one of my dislikes. I wanted Martian Manhunter to do a lot, because, like, you told me at the beginning that there was, like, another Leaguer, and I'm like, who? And, like, I was, like, begging you to tell me, and you're like, no.
we're sitting there for the first, like, 3 hours of the movie until you get to the Martian Manhunter reveal, which, I'm sorry, spoilers, but Martian Manhunter's in the movie. And Josh kept looking at me, and he's like, I need to put my phone down. I want to look it up, but I can't. Who is it? I've got like 10 guesses. And tell me.
I had 3 guesses, and they were all green. It was either a Green Arrow out of nowhere, finally they put a Green Lantern in, or it was Martian Manhunter.
And I really loved that reveal. It was so cool to me. And I really liked that he was there all along, like, pushing them together. That was cool to me.
Yeah.
Even, like, being able to go, we need Lois to be back amongst the living just in case. Like, because there's no way he could go, oh, well, they'll just bring back Superman. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
But what if? Lois Lane's important.
Right.
And so that was cool. And him to come seek out Batman at the end, reveal himself, and be like, I've decided it's my time. I'm going to fight for this world that I call home. I was like, awesome. That's great. But it would have been really cool if they were, like, fighting Steppenwolf before Superman showed up, and Martian Manhunter just, like, stretchy hands his face and throws him through the roof, and he's like, aha!
Yeah, I could have done with, like... it's like the end of Justice League Unlimited, where Martian Manhunter, like, he's like an old man, like, walking along the Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
Where, like, that amount of screen time would have been enough. Where it just, like, comes up, like, as a dragon, like, punches one dude, hugs Diana, and was like, cool. Martian Manhunter showed up. He didn't do much else after that, but, like, all that screen time is enough. I wanted to see him do just, like, a little bit of shapeshifting, like, punch out one alien, and be like, yeah, Martian Manhunter's gonna be the final, like, standing lineup. And that would have been enough for me.
It's cool. Like, I liked Manhunter, and I like him a lot. He grew on me over the years, so I wanted to see him do more.
Yeah.
So that's one of your dislikes, too.
Yeah, it was. I really expected a lot more out of Martian Manhunter, and, I mean, there's definitely implication that he'll do more in the future.
Which is another reason I kind of hope for a sequel. I would like to see other characters like Manhunter get the spotlight.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so that was one of mine as well, you know, because, like, I got some, like, just general, like, you know, like, storytelling gripes, but I'm not gonna bash that until I've seen a whole story completed.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I'm kind of avoiding that, too.
Because I'll just knock out my last dislike.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is, so I do not have a gripe with Ezra Miller as the Flash. I do have a gripe with this world's Barry Allen.
Which is fair, you know.
Because, I mean, he's just, that's never been who Barry Allen is. Mm-hmm. The Barry that we get in that film is just not, it's just not Barry. Like, maybe it's Wally, but still not even that. Like, more than anything, he feels like Bart. Which, I think, and like I told you this, I think that this universe would have worked a lot better in my own eyes with The Flash if Ezra was playing Wally and Barry had already died. And
Barry was either in the Speed Force or dead or just gone.
My thought is that, like, the reason why it would be good for Wally to, for Wally to not want to go to the speed of light is because Barry vanished doing exactly that. So, like, you know, it messes with time, and, like, you could have been like, yeah, like, my mentor who was the Flash before me, like, he did run at light speed, and time got crazy, and it messed with a bunch of stuff, and he vanished, and I'm terrified of ever going that fast. Mm-hmm. So that would, you know, raise to the point, it's like, all right, you got to break the rules, Wally, and then, you know, he goes and, you know, like, fixes everything by going back in time, and, you know, he ends up, you know, somehow not disappearing like Barry did, but, you know, that could, because we've already seen Flashpoint in animated universe. We've seen it in live action on the TV show, and we've seen Barry Allen's origin story, but Wally hasn't gotten a lot of justice in that show.
Which is weird, because, like, when we were growing up with the Justice League cartoons and everything, and comics at that time, Barry was not our Flash. It was Wally.
Wally was our Flash. We grew up with Wally West.
It's like, we didn't have Hal Jordan. We had John Stewart. Like, that was our Flash and Green Lantern.
And Kyle Rayner in the comics was our main one as well. So, like, yeah, we didn't grow up with Barry and Hal. And I love Barry and Hal.
I do, too.
I just did 6 videos on them. I love Barry and Hal.
They're an awesome team up, and they're great individually. I love both of them. Yeah. They're fantastic.
But, you know, it's just, I would have really liked to see more Wally, especially since we have already gotten so much of Barry Allen in the show. And I really like the show. So it's either, like, they should have just combined those universes, or we should have given Wally the spotlight in this. But either way, otherwise, I think Ezra's a really great Flash. He's very funny, and I really enjoyed every time that he was on screen. So, you got any other gripes that you want to talk about?
Yeah, so I don't really have any storytelling gripes. One of my other gripes was that, I mean, not really just wanting to see more of Martian Manhunter, but I wanted to see more overall of some of the side characters. Like, we got a lot of the Amazons, and that was cool. Mm-hmm. Like, the fight scene between Steppenwolf and the Amazons in this version is longer and more brutal. But I also kind of wouldn't have minded one more scene with Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
Or a little bit more on Barry. Mm-hmm. Which, in this movie, that's actually one of my pluses. But, you know, just a little bit more of some of the side characters and a little bit less Batman. Because Batman vs. Superman was, like, Batman's movie. Yeah. We got Superman in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. So that was great. So, in this movie, I wouldn't have minded seeing a little less Batman, because we didn't get a whole lot of Superman, and that was good. We got, like, the right amount of Superman.
Which is fine. Like, he's already had his own whole movie.
No, yeah, it's fine.
Before all this would have happened,
So, you know, I was fine with that, but I wouldn't have minded a little more of some of those side characters that we don't really get to see. Or even, as much as I'm going to hate saying this, even a little bit more of Jared Leto at the end. And, like, because, you know, like, seeing what the hell was happening in the nightmare. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's because why is Mira there? Why is Deathstroke there?
Right.
Why does Barry look like Mad Max Flash? It was cool. I love the costume, by the way.
Was that the same actor? That didn't look like Ezra Miller.
No, I'm pretty sure it was him.
That looked like a different man.
He's a big boy now. He's all grown up.
I mean, yeah, he grew out a beard, and that baby face was gone. He literally looked like a different person. If someone in the comments can tell me if that was him or not, that would be great. But it didn't look like Ezra Miller to me.
I didn't think it was the Flash the first time I watched it until he was like, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's the Flash. But that was just kind of my thing. But obviously, I had to make Martian Manhunter separate because he's Martian Manhunter, right. And I really would have liked to see a lot more of that. Mm-hmm. And then one of my other gripes, the other big gripe for me was just there was a lot in this movie that I really liked, but there were some parts of it that were really slow and unnecessary. Like the Watchmen-esque like slow-mo walk scenes with obscure classic tracks.
Yeah.
That, Snyder does this, and it's totally fine, and it looks great the first time you watch the movie. Mm-hmm. But afterwards, I don't need to see it. Like, there's one, it's like a minute and a half long of Aquaman just drinking as he walks down the pier in slow-mo.
Yeah. And then he littered.
And then he throws his bottle in one. That's not... Which, I'm like, okay, that's kind of unnecessary. And that was really the only thing in the movie that I rolled my eyes at. I was like, it's dumb.
My thing at that was, like, he, like, brought that dude in, and he was like, tell him to respect the storm or whatever, respect the sea. And then he goes and, like, downs an entire bottle of some liquor, and then just smashes it on the pier on a glass, watching the ocean. It's like, well, you're king of the ocean, douchebag.
So, like, overall, I'm okay with the length of the movie, because a long movie doesn't bother me.
No, and, like, I don't mind long movies, because you can always, like, especially at home, you can always stop and
especially
pick up
with
again
the parts. I like that.
If that's what it takes for the story that wants to be told, the story that wants to be told, that's how long it takes, then that's what it takes. That's fine. I don't mind that. Like, that's why I don't mind Endgame being a 3.5-hour movie. I would have watched a fucking 8-hour Avengers movie if they made that. I would watch it, absolutely.
You definitely want an intermission so I can pee, though.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Plays do that for much shorter plays.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So yeah, that's yeah. Well, let's talk about some things that we like then. So you go first.
I really liked that this movie gave a lot of setup for Aquaman. Mm-hmm. Vulko giving him the trident, or more like throwing the trident at his feet and being like, "Suck it up! You this is your job, your responsibility now.
Right?
You can't hide from it anymore." Mm-hmm. That was cool, and I also love that both of us, first time watching the movie, were like, Willem Dafoe's in there?
Yeah.
Who the hell is Willem Dafoe?
Who's William Dafoe in this movie?
I totally forgot he was Vulko.
Yeah, when he showed up like, you were an Aquaman.
But I really like that, because that movie tied, or this updated version tied right into Aquaman.
Yeah.
And it makes it way more seamless, and that was great to me. Mm-hmm. And same thing with introducing Iris. Now, obviously, she didn't say anything, or, her name wasn't even told, but that is confirmed to be Iris West.
Yeah, that I knew. So,
and that's great, and giving us that cool introduction to Barry. Really, just all the introductions around this time are just better. Because, they don't have that goofy scene of Batman killing a parademon, and then he sees, the mother boxes in the parademon blood. I was like, yeah. What is that? That's stupid. There's a lot of dumb stuff that they cut out of the original,
right,
and replaced with character development and sequel development, and I think that was cool. That was really good.
So one of my things was the additional time I think really added to the fact that we got to see these characters obviously develop a lot more, but not just as individuals, but to why they would work together.
Yes.
I think it really developed the Justice League as a team and the team dynamic, and I did enjoy. Like, as the movie went on, you could see how they were getting past their, like, their individualism and starting to realize that, like, all right, we're kind of all here for the same purpose, and they started to grow and start to trust and accept each other. And I was enjoying that a lot. So, like, by the time that, the movie is, like, in its final hour, like, these people are starting to realize, like, I do like all the people here, and like I would work with them again, and they're starting to have fun with it. They're starting to like crack jokes with each other, and that's what I really like. Like
that scene when Barry takes out Arthur.
Oh my god!
And they're laying on the stairs, and he doesn't say anything. He just points at him.
Yeah,
I am so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That kills me every single time.
Yes.
Jason Momoa's Aquaman is incredible.
Yeah, I think that him paired with with the Flash, I think that Ezra and Jason play off of each other very well.
They have a ridiculous
as like the really tough gruff dude and like the really like new child. They have
way more chemistry than I would have ever thought.
Yeah, it's very much like Justice League War, where like Batman and Green Lantern were like such a great combination that no one ever called. Like,
yeah, you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, like, oh wow, I could watch this forever. These two are hilarious, and it's not even like they're trying to be hilarious; they're just so at odds with each other.
Yeah.
And, the dynamic between the team and the development between them as a team is something that I really, really enjoyed about the movie. I think that the extra time was definitely needed to get that. Because, like, what I've said is, we didn't have all of the setup that, Avengers had with everyone having their own films first. So we had to get that all out. And 4 hours apparently was enough to do that.
Which I was actually surprised that they got as much character development into the film as they did. But that really made me happy. The focus on particularly introducing Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg was amazing. And actually particularly Cyborg. The movie being pretty focused around his origin and everything made him a lot more important than the initial cut. Where I feel like 80% of his scenes were either altered or cut.
Right.
So, but overall, I agree with you there.
Yeah. What's another one of yours?
So, another one that I really liked, just overall, the introduction of Desaad and Darkseid, and this one doesn't need to be long, but the introduction of Desaad and Darkseid into the movie made Steppenwolf, in my opinion, more menacing. And this just improved Steppenwolf overall.
Yeah.
Because he's not creepily walking around going, oh, mother. Talking about the boxes. I'm like, all right, weirdo. You need to get out of here.
Yeah.
But he's desperate. He's broken. He's begging to come home. And he'll do anything to do it.
So, one of my other points is about Steppenwolf. Because I liked how he seemed beatable.
Yes.
He was desperate, he was beatable, but he was obviously dangerous.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I agree.
Anytime that he fought, both sides went out hurt. And I really liked that, because something that I have really had a lot of issue with in just storytelling in, in our modern age is so many things are resolved by trial by combat. Where it's
the big unbeatable villain.
It's like, okay, well, we can't, afford to make two giant armies fight right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have if this were, in a lower budget thing, it would have been like with the Amazons, like Hippolyta would have just fought Steppenwolf and like winner takes all. But we had like the Parademons and him like fighting all the Amazons, and they're like desperately trying to run away. Like it was all very well done narratively, where it could have just been like, you, me, let's do this. All right, I died. You get the box. Bye.
I agree.
So there was a lot of that, and it was all so good. Yeah, I think all the fights with Steppenwolf were very well done, and that was one of my other points. Was he he felt beatable, but he felt powerful, and that was very good.
Was dangerous.
Until Superman showed up.
Well,
I was like,
but that goes to the point of they had the perfect amount of Superman in the movie. They didn't overuse him. They used him the right amount. They kept him out with a believable story. I mean, he's come back from the dead. He's got to figure out who the hell he is.
Right.
And they did it well enough, with Martha and Lois, and then he comes in and just embarrasses Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
And that builds into the story they were talking about before, where they were like, all right, well, why are the boxes active now? Oh, because Superman's gone. He was the only thing keeping everyone else away.
And they did a really good job displaying how powerful Superman was from the start. Like, he comes down with that axe where he's been whooping the shit out of everyone with it in the movie. It just stops on his shoulder.
Gives it the frost breath and then shatters it.
But it just hit him and it didn't even budge. I was like, oh.
And he's just like, just shaking his head at Steppenwolf. And he's like, oh no. But, it was badass. But that goes back to what I was saying about Desaad and Darkseid. Having Desaad and Darkseid made him desperate, but it also made him beatable because he wasn't the ultimate villain. He was dangerous, and it was a desperate struggle, but it wasn't the end game.
Yeah.
Darkseid is.
Exactly. There's still obviously a bigger threat. And if Steppenwolf was able to be as much of a threat as he was, but is beatable, how, and if he's that afraid of Darkseid, how powerful is Darkseid?
How powerful?
I know how powerful Darkseid is, but in the film sense,
the average person, no. So what do you got for your last pro?
So my last point, while I had obviously some gripes with Barry Allen, I really, really enjoyed, and I know that you have a lot of strong feelings on this as well, I really enjoyed how they displayed the power of the Flash.
Yes.
His speed, the scenes with it, the amount of power crackling off of him every time he moves. It was so cool.
I really liked when we were watching the movie and you were just like, Barry's lightning looks really dangerous.
It's really violent. I mean, the first time that we saw him use it in the film, it exploded his shoes. And I was like, whoa, that's getting expensive.
Can't wear those.
So, those scenes were all... I mean, I'm a sucker for super speed, and I'm a sucker for super speed scenes. My favorite points of the X-Men films are the Quicksilver parts. They're so good. And, that's obviously a popular opinion. But I really liked how everything... I liked how everything looked from Flash's perspective. I liked that scene where he's doing the time travel, where he's rebuilding the world with his steps.
That's my favorite scene in the movie. You gotta break the rule, Barry. You gotta go way past the speed of light, and you gotta do it right now.
Yeah.
And you watch as the Flash runs and rebuilds the world. Mm-hmm. That is one of the coolest visually scenes ever. And the Flash doesn't get his time in the limelight like that. Even in the show.
Even in his own show, he has a whole team, so he doesn't always get to shine specifically as the Flash.
But that
really,
movie,
I think that really showed about... I think that had a deeper connection to Speed Force than they were leading on.
No, I agree.
I mean, the Speed Force literally generates as Barry Allen runs.
I agree.
He generates the Speed Force with every step he takes, and I think that was a really strong showing of that. My favorite scene is it was in the original theatrical release, and it is still in this one. Is when he's running at Superman as he's choking out everyone, and Superman slowly turns his head. Because every time I watch it, it's just straight up chills. It's like, run, Barry, run.
And I 100% agree with you on that one. Just the Flash getting all that time. And I told you, I was like, we got to watch this, Josh, because there's a scene where you literally watch Barry go, and I couldn't help it. I was just, run, Barry, run.
Yeah.
And it's so good, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's where I stand on it. I certainly have more things I like, more things I dislike, but you can always talk to me, whether you can always talk to me about it personally, Rick, and then, you guys, the audience, you can always talk to me about it on Discord, comments, my Twitch, whatever. You know where to find me by now, and if you don't, you obviously haven't been here for very much. And I can't imagine that if you're coming here from the future, this is the first video that you've watched on me.
Right. And then my final pro really goes all the way back to the flashback scene.
Yeah.
The updated flashback scene is my second favorite part of the movie. I can't put it over the Flash running after the Unity. But seeing Zeus and Ares and Artemis, I'm pretty sure that was Artemis. I mean, she had the bow, so I think it was Artemis.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% sure. But the three of
Artemis
them...
die in the Wonder Woman film?
Not the Amazon. I'm talking about the god.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay.
Because seeing the three gods...
Yeah, that scene was very cool.
And take him out was very cool. Seeing more of the Green Lantern in that instead of just flying through the sky real quick.
Yeah.
But seeing him actually, take his stand against Darkseid, like, this is my sector, I have to, even if I don't make it. Darkseid trying to grab the ring, it escaping him and flying away, and, like, all of that was super cool. But Zeus and Ares taking down Darkseid was incredible.
Yeah.
Because it goes to show, this goes back to Steppenwolf, Darkseid can be beaten.
Yes.
Even if he is this immense cosmic god, he's entropy incarnate, he can be stopped. And also, like, just seeing, like, the last alliance of, the Amazons and Atlanteans and the armies of men and all that, and the Green Lantern and all of that all together was incredible. It's like going back to Lord of the Rings, going all the way back to that initial flashback where the elves and the last alliance of elves and men are fighting Sauron. It's super cool. And it really built upon that lore. And then throwing the damn, the anti-life equation. I don't know, I forgot the name. But throwing the anti-life equation in there and hinting at it at that point.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Incredible.
That I really enjoyed.
And then putting it on Earth like that makes the drive of Darkseid incredible. And we don't even need him to go gather all the Infinity Stones because he's Darkseid. He doesn't need them.
Right.
So it's it was just really cool. And overall, I have to get the initial Justice League, I give it a 5, 6, whatever.
Out of 100.
But this one, I'd give it a solid 8.5 or even a 9.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah,
I won't watch it all the time because it's really long.
Yeah, well, the original movie, I'd probably give a 6. And honestly, while I enjoyed this one more, I still probably only give it an 8. Because it certainly had...
It's still a big improvement.
It's definitely an improvement. I mean, that's a passing grade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the whole thing... The universe, I think, needed more development before they came out with the team-up movie.
I agree.
So, cramming it all in here was part of my issue with it. But I certainly enjoyed it a lot more than I did the first time around. And, I could see myself watching it again, but it's going to take a while to do so.
A lot more development movies unless they had decided to just jump in and make Justice League War.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If they would have just made Justice League War frame for frame, 10 out of 10.
I mean, if they just jumped in and made the movie for comic fans, you know what? It probably would have been incredible and didn't need all the setup. But unfortunately, because it's a mainline movie, we need all that extra setup.
Because, I mean, if they just wanted to make a trilogy of Justice League movies out of the fucking blue, all right, cool. I don't need origin stories for all of them. But if you're going to build a world out of this, I need you to build the world before you throw me into the apocalypse of it.
That's what prequels are for. Star Wars said it's okay. But yeah, that's where I stand.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. So thanks guys for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. This went longer than 15-minute line that we set for ourselves.
But
hey, whatever. It's a video.
It's a video.
I guess we recorded a podcast today. That was not the intent. But yeah.
What's the title? Accidental Podcast.
Speaking of podcasts, if somehow any of you made it to the end of this video, I'll be recording tomorrow, but this Saturday I will be on the Court of Owlets podcast again, talking about some Golden Age comics. So check them out on anywhere you can find podcasts. I listen to them on Spotify. I know they're on iTunes and a few other places. But there'll be links to all that and below. But also follow me on Twitter, Twitch. There'll be a link to the Discord so you can talk to us directly at the bottom. And even there, you can, try to hound Rick into making videos again. Maybe he'll do it.
Like and subscribe. Tell Josh you love him. Yeah. I'm glad to be back. I'll see what I can do. I might show up some more often if I can swing it.
He's a busy man. He's got a family to raise and another one on the way.
Oh, God. Don't remind me.
So, yeah, thanks all, and we'll catch y'all later.
Bye.
Goodbye.